Ascendant in the 12th house synastry is a synastry that acts more of an influence to the overall synastry these two have. But don't worry, I will explain in detail how this plays out, as you will be able to see how it still has an impact. It's just that it's a water house being involved. So if you don't observe this synastry well, you might just think it's doing nothing, or even the two people involved here can feel like they are being delusional of what is happening in the relationship. Ascendant person being the ascendant, they'll be the one with the mask and projecting the 12th house themes, while 12th houser will have the full 12th house energy. Keep this in mind when I mention each person. They usually meet when 12th houser is a newbie. This part is very similar to the ascendant in the 8th house synastry. The reason why the scenario is always like this is because ascendant is the external energy of the sign inside of 12th houser. For example, if ascendant person has a Libra rising, they will be showing the traits of Libra, and 12th houser will have the sign of Libra in their 12th house. 12th houser being the houser, they will be doing the acts of a Libra person when they interact. So if this synastry is happening, they will have to be introduced to each other, as both of them are operating in the same energy but in different fonts. Hence, you will notice with any ascendant to house synastry, it's the outsiders that will introduce these two, or an event that these two like going. And since we are talking about 12th house synastry, and 12th house rules past life, the spiritual realm, and ancestors, etc., picture this synastry like when you are looking in the mirror. The longer you stare in the mirror, the more it feels like a reflection of you is coming to life, or that it will come out like the Jordan Peele movie, or that there's someone watching. It's like you are seeing a clone. Therefore, in the first meeting, people will say to 12th houser, hey, you should meet ascendant person because you guys are just alike, or I feel like you would like ascendant person because you act similar. You guys would really get along. The 12th house deals also with projections. This is why the public can recognize this between the two also. 12th house and ascendant person will be hesitant to approach each other because of the 12th house energy. 12th house highlights our fears, therefore it can make these two very sensitive to each other's energy, or already have inner thoughts of being careful around each other to not hurt the other, or to also avoid them being disappointed. Even when people introduce them, the people always have this look in their face like, don't worry, they're really nice. So when they see each other for the first time, they tend to be really gracious with each other. This reminds me of when people see a baby or pregnant person, or even in high school where students would be sent to detention and you think it will be all bad people there, only to realize that there are misunderstood people, and you end up making a best friend in there. The dynamic of this synastry reminds me of the movie Freedom Riders. It's very evident of this synastry. As soon as they speak to each other to introduce themselves, they can feel that they are alike. Their mannerisms and everything is so similar, and due to this, they quickly get lost in reading the other that they forget about the people around them. The reading each other is actually them sharing the intuition of what they feel from the other. They will say a few words, but mentally they are saying a lot to each other. This is what makes them want to be around each other all the time, is the ability to understand each other and the safety of understanding each other's inner world. As long as they are physically together, they will always watch each other and protect the other from the world. They will do little things like pull the car seat, open doors, stand behind with you when you are tying your shoes, listen to you when no one is listening, pull up on you when you are having a depressive episode, in which I noticed that ascendant person will recognize this first, as they can see the bigger picture by being the projector here. A 12th houser will do things like this after ascendant person does. This is because 12th houser is the houser, so they are carrying the energy of the 12th house themes on their back. They will be in their own little world dealing with the themes in which they are your fears, unconsciousness, imprisonment, dreams, ancestors, the other ones I mentioned earlier, and much more. So 12th houser can be busy dealing with all of these things alone, and usually they're alone in this compared to the people they have around them. This is why when ascendant person arrives and behaves the same way as them, 12th houser feels so free to speak about those themes with ascendant person, only to find out that ascendant person is going through those things too. The only thing is that ascendant person is more mature compared to those people they hang out with. That's why it's so easy for them to have a silent agreement that they're only to come to each other to talk about deep things that they know others would brush under the carpet or wouldn't understand. This alliance gets stronger the more they get together. Because this is the ascendant synastry, the public gets to be involved in this relationship or feel the effects of it when they're around. You will notice that people will also have 12th house energy around them. If they're hanging out with friends that are loud, when these two are around, the friends will be calmer and have deeper convos about life. And when these two leave, the friend group is back to being loud and not caring about anything. 12th house also deals with projections persons. Therefore, the friend group could also start to project onto each other or be jealous that ascendant person and 12th houser only say deep things to each other or don't hang around the group as much. This is something that these two will notice too, because their interaction enables them to be highly intuitive of people's unconsciousness. They will give each other the eyes or even go to a private area and mention how so and so is projecting, etc. They are so ready to do this because they are aware of the truth of what they're going through in life, or like what each other is going through in their own homes. And talking about homes, this synastry, I noticed that 12 houser always ends up going to ascendant person's house. The reason why I bring this up is because both of these people are very private about their home slash family, etc., because they want to create a different illusion to outsiders to protect themselves. But either way, with each other, they will open their house doors and say everything that they feel ashamed of with each other. They tend to call each other immediately when they feel like something is wrong or in the middle of them crying, etc. Side things I noticed from this relationship too is that if they are friends, they could secretly like each other romantically, and if they do decide to be together, they will do this in secret, as another 12 house theme is things that we can hide from everyone. Usually people will project onto them or have old beliefs, and that's why they're hiding the relationship. These two do not play about safeguarding each other because of the merging they have with each other. They feel like if ascendant person is not okay, 12 houser won't be okay, and vice versa. That's also why if things start to get messy, they start to avoid each other or crash out because they became codependent of each other. A lot of the messiness comes from expecting the other to just be there even when it's impossible to, or when they have to go through different paths in life. For example, if 12 houser gets a job, ascendant person can feel like it's 12 houser's responsibility to get them one too. Or if 12 houser goes to college and ascendant person wants to go too but can't, 12 houser can get mad that ascendant person is not able to go even if it's something serious. This is happening because they are so emotionally involved with each other that they forget that the world most of the times does not take into consideration of people's emotions. So sometimes you have to physically do things that your emotions don't agree with, but because they get used to always having each other's back, they can have a hard time understanding this. Ascendant person being the mask, they can get used to masking for the world. As for 12 houser being the house, they don't care to mask. This is where they can start being messy with each other, as ascendant person wants to just stay in the fantasy world or be an enabler of the 12 house things like giving in to addictions or allowing abusive like people to be around them, etc. 12 houser on the other hand is comfortable in being alone or cutting people off or struggling alone. Therefore, they can be very cutthroat with ascendant person, which can result ascendant person being jealous that they don't have this ability to face their unconsciousness or fears. They can start comparing their lives with 12 houser. 12 houser can continue living their lives, but they will struggle to ever find someone like ascendant person for a long time. They could also hit a deep depression or use coping mechanisms like drinking or having several partners, etc., to fill the void. So as you can see, they are being the same person once again, but in different fonts. These two always meet each other because of the 12th house theme of past life. In the past life, these two could have been doctor to patient or parent to child. Either way, in the past life, they had to take care of each other in order to survive. This is why in this lifetime, they can feel like they have a mission to fulfill, but also have a feeling that if they have to separate from each other, they will. Remember, the mirror example I gave earlier, these two can feel that either they start loving the image they see in the mirror and help each other heal all of the insecurities and flaws they see from each other, or that the reflection and the person in front of the mirror cannot live in the same world, in which this is not wrong to feel, as this relationship is truly for these two to learn to accept and heal each other perspective of the world, and to have a healthier relationship with their mindset and fears, or use the relationship as a way to pivot to better things, or use the lessons that they learned from this relationship to the next relationship.